Steven Spielberg has spent 5 decades creating the most iconic films ever made. But even he admits there are only 6 actors who truly stole his heart. In a career filled with legends, blockbusters, and Oscar winners, Spielberg's personal favorites aren't always the ones fans expect. Now, at this stage of his life and legacy, the director finally opens up about the performers who shaped his storytelling the most. Are you ready to meet these 6 actors? Harrison Ford. To the world, Harrison Ford is the embodiment of adventure. Han Solo, Indiana Jones, the rugged icon of modern action. But for Steven Spielberg, Ford has always been more than a role. He is a guiding presence, a cinematic lodestar. He is the kind of collaborator who knows instinctively when to take charge and when to trust the director, a man whose very presence shapes a film as profoundly as the script or the camera's gaze. Their journey began with a hat, a whip, and a grin, Raiders of the Lost Ark. And from that instant, a quiet, steadfast bond was born, one built on mutual respect and unspoken loyalty. Spielberg once said, "Harrison brings confidence into a room, and when the camera rolls, that confidence becomes myth." Ford was already Han Solo, the charming, roguish hero, but Spielberg recognized something deeper, a grounded, unshakably human core beneath the legend. In Raiders of the Lost Ark, he became the blueprint for the modern action hero. He stumbled, he bled, he groaned, and each time he rose again. The shoots were punishing, physically grueling, yet Ford never faltered. On Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade, Spielberg recalls Ford insisting on performing a stunt himself. No doubles, no shortcuts. "If I get hurt," Ford said, "you'll know it was worth it." That's who Harrison is. It was the unspoken code of a man devoted to authenticity over spectacle, a quiet promise that every moment on screen was earned. What sets Ford apart from his peers is not simply longevity, but restraint and discipline. He doesn't chase roles. He avoids Hollywood politics. He arrives, delivers, and lets the work speak. Spielberg depends on him for truth on demand, whether it's the precise timing of a comedic pause, the weight of a fight scene, or the nuanced flicker of human emotion under pressure. Each time, Ford brings steadiness and life to the frame, turning every scene into something lived in, tangible, and unforgettable. Daniel Day-Lewis. When Steven Spielberg chose Daniel Day-Lewis to embody Abraham Lincoln, it was never a simple act of casting. It was an act of summoning. Spielberg didn't ask for an audition. Day-Lewis didn't need a standard rehearsal. By the time he stepped onto set, Lincoln wasn't a role. He was a presence already fused to the man portraying him. What entered the soundstage was not Daniel Day-Lewis in costume, but the 16th president, alive again through sheer will and artistry. Spielberg later admitted, "He gave me the gift of time travel. There were moments I forgot we were making a movie." Those words capture the strange, spellbinding alchemy of Day-Lewis. Quiet but commanding, meticulous yet transcendent, crafting a performance so rooted in truth that it defied the mechanics of cinema. There were no showy gestures, no theatrical tricks. The weight came from small, devastating details, each hesitation, each breath, each thoughtful gaze holding history inside it. It was a role destined for him, and Spielberg recognized that without question. On the Lincoln set, Spielberg observed a kind of sacred boundary. No casual small talk, no informal greetings. He addressed him as Mr. President, not as a gimmick, but as a signal that the work required solemnity and respect. The dynamic between them wasn't built on authority, but on reverence. Spielberg, a director known for guiding every emotional beat, stepped back. With Day-Lewis, direction became almost irrelevant. What he needed wasn't instruction, it was room. Some performances aren't shaped. They're allowed to breathe, and Day-Lewis offered nothing less than the full truth of the man he embodied. Their collaboration wasn't born overnight. Day-Lewis had previously declined Spielberg's invitation, and it took years of patient persuasion before he finally accepted the payoff was extraordinary. Lincoln emerged not merely as another entry in Spielberg's filmography, but as one of his most iconic achievements. Day-Lewis's portrayal earned him an Academy Award, solidifying his reputation as an actor who disappears so completely into character that he seems to rewrite history in real time. And still, Spielberg never claimed credit. "I didn't direct him. I just witnessed him," he said, a quiet confession of awe and of the rare fear a director feels when letting go of control. With Day-Lewis, surrender wasn't a risk. It was the only way to honor the truth he brought. Tom Hanks. In the long lineage of Steven Spielberg's creative allies, few figures carry the same resonance as Tom Hanks. For more than a quarter century, Hanks hasn't simply starred in Spielberg's films. He has woven himself into the director's artistic bloodstream. Their body of work, from Saving Private Ryan to Catch Me, If You Can, The Terminal, Bridge of Spies, and The Post, reads like a quiet manifesto on trust, restraint, and the strength found in consistency. It is not a friendship designed for red carpets or headlines. It is a bond shaped in the trenches of storytelling, emotion, and the intricate anatomy of human experience. Hanks once admitted, "When Steven calls, I don't ask what it is, I just say yes." It wasn't flattery. It was policy. Because a call from Spielberg isn't merely an offer, it's an invitation to carry the emotional center of a film, to become the compass that guides its humanity, to safeguard the fragile notes woven into its narrative. Over the years, Hanks has become Spielberg's anchor whenever a story demands nuance, moral weight, or the steady bravery of a character navigating history, conflict, and impossible decisions. On Saving Private Ryan, Spielberg was said to give Hanks little more than gentle cues, a subtle glance, a quiet note, trusting the actor to uncover the scene's truth without excess or ornament. Their collaboration is a kind of cinematic chemistry. Hanks doesn't overpower a frame, he stabilizes it. In The Post, portraying Ben Bradlee, he reportedly drifted into the newsroom with the air of a journalistic lion, not by force, but through the unspoken gravity of his presence. Hanks's gift lies in grounding the narrative, supplying it with emotional breath. Where other performers might ignite a scene with volatility or flair, Hanks offers weight, clarity, and steadiness. And Spielberg understands precisely what he is nurturing: the purity of a performance, the rhythmic pulse of a story, the unseen structure that keeps an entire film standing. Leonardo DiCaprio. When Steven Spielberg first encountered Leonardo DiCaprio, he didn't see the boyish heartthrob who had captured the world after Titanic. He saw a scalpel, sharp, precise, controlled. Their first collaboration, Catch Me If You Can, demanded more than charm. It required exact timing, delicate intuition, and a profound sense of human vulnerability. While the public saw a teenage megastar, Spielberg recognized something far deeper: patience, steadiness under pressure, and an instinctive internal rhythm. "He's got a clock inside him," Spielberg later reflected. "He never misses a beat. He's not guessing. He's landing." It wasn't DiCaprio's charm that carried the role. It was the desperation simmering beneath it. Frank Abagnale Jr. was no mere con artist. He was a fractured young man hiding behind a flawless facade. Spielberg leaned into that tension, and DiCaprio delivered with surgical precision. The performance marked a turning point. He was no longer just a leading man, but a fully realized actor capable of subtlety, complexity, and emotional poise. The transformation felt earned, guided by Spielberg's patient, observant direction, which prized authenticity over spectacle. On set, their collaboration was quietly disciplined. No theatrics, no second-guessing, only an instinctive synergy. Spielberg has often marveled at DiCaprio's process, how he mapped out every scene, asked questions others overlooked, and, despite being the youngest on set, carried the weight of the production with composed authority. Every glance, pause, and gesture was deliberate, as if sculpted from the air itself. Talk of future collaborations, be it a Howard Hughes biopic or a tense courtroom drama, never fully materialized. Yet DiCaprio remains one of the rare young actors Spielberg consistently praises, discussing The Revenant. He called DiCaprio's performance devastating, a testament to the actor's ability to contain chaos in his eyes and silence in his voice. For Spielberg, the door remains open. The promise of extraordinary work between them is unfinished, waiting for the right story to awaken it. Meryl Streep. Steven Spielberg waited nearly 40 years to direct Meryl Streep. When it finally came to fruition in The Post, 2017, it was never merely casting. It was the culmination of decades of admiration, finally realized on screen. Streep, already a 3-time Oscar winner and a towering force in Hollywood, stepped into the role of Katharine Graham with an effortless authority that belied the stakes. "And this is no longer my father's company. It's no longer my husband's company. It's my company," she intoned, instantly transforming historical weight into something intimate, immediate, and vividly human. For Spielberg, directing her was both a thrill and a revelation. "I felt nervous directing Meryl," he later admitted, a rare confession from a filmmaker whose confidence has guided generations of cinema. Streep required no coaxing. She didn't fill the space with performance. She became it. Spielberg described it as conducting a symphony with only one instrument. Every glance, every pause, every breath was deliberate, layered, purposeful. She never dominated a scene with spectacle. She led through nuance, letting silence and restraint carry the weight of emotion. Spielberg gave her that room, trusting that what remained unspoken could resonate louder than any line of dialogue. Behind the camera, he marveled at her precision. Streep transformed complex political tension into something profoundly personal. Fear, courage, and doubt coexisted seamlessly in a single expression. Spielberg's compositions and pacing provided the structure, but it was Streep who breathed life into it, with meticulous control and subtlety. The performance earned her yet another Oscar nomination, her 21st, and affirmed The Post as both a critical and artistic triumph. Robin Williams. Robin Williams didn't just play Peter Pan. He reminded Steven Spielberg what it meant to feel fully alive. On Hook, Spielberg faced one of the most grueling shoots of his career. The production was overambitious, behind schedule, and chaotic. For a director who thrives on precision and control, the experience was exhausting, even overwhelming. Yet in the midst of the stress, Robin Williams became something Spielberg hadn't anticipated: the emotional heart, not just of the film, but of the director himself. Williams would call Spielberg every night after filming, not to strategize, not to discuss the day's work, but simply to make him laugh. 15 minutes of pure improvisation, unbridled energy, and spontaneous joy, offered without ego, without fatigue, just presence. For Spielberg, it was transformative. In a production that threatened to crush him, Robin reminded him why he loved storytelling, why he chased wonder, risk, and laughter. Robin was the lightning in the bottle, Spielberg later said, and when he left the room, it just dimmed. On screen, Williams gave Peter Pan a rare, unforgettable blend of humor and sorrow. He carried the ache of lost youth, the bittersweet weight of passing time, and the quiet melancholy of adulthood. A fairy tale became personal, intimate, and deeply human. While Spielberg has admitted that Hook didn't turn out exactly as he envisioned, too sprawling, too chaotic, the element that lingered long after the cameras stopped rolling was Robin himself. He didn't merely inhabit a role, he reshaped the energy of the set, transformed the atmosphere around everyone, and left an indelible imprint on Spielberg's memory. Their bond extended far beyond production. After Robin's death, Spielberg revealed he had even paused work on Schindler's List in moments of grief. Feeling the absence of his friend keenly, Williams never collaborated with Spielberg again, but he didn't need to. One performance, one presence, one personality was enough. Some actors leave echoes that persist long after filming ends. Some personalities bend the rhythm of a set without instruction. Robin Williams was that rare, unpredictable element in Spielberg's meticulously ordered world. For Spielberg, Williams was more than a performer. He was a force of life itself, a reminder that film and life are at their most brilliant when joy and chaos collide. When Spielberg speaks of actors who changed him, he always returns to Robin. Not for polish, not for perfection, but for aliveness. For the unforgettable spark that made a director believe in magic once more. What do you think about Steven Spielberg's favorite actors? Leave us your comments in the section below. We hope you have found this helpful video. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you like it. Thank you for watching this and see you in the next videos. Goodbye.